What's up, everyone? How are you? What's going on? It is Tuesday, and we are going to, I don't know, maybe we're going to write some code today. Who's to say? It could be an exciting kind of day. Let me point this mic at my mouth. All right, give me a second while I share. Let me share the links out to folks so that we can make these sorts of things happen. Get a shareable link. We're going to drop this on. Is it going to show up already in the... I think it's already showing up in the thing. Where do I even post things these days? Who knows? I don't know where I post things. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. We're just gonna vibe today. We're gonna make this happen. So let me get this view over here. Does it not let me? Oh, I don't love that. That's no fun. How does this work? Okay, so apparently I managed to get this video. Wait, I don't want to leave the site. I just want to move it out of here so that I can move it over here. That's what I wanted. All right, now I have this page off the thing. So what's up, everyone? How you doing? What's happening over here? What's up, Bridgewater? What's up, Vinny? Affiliate anniversary. Is something happening on Twitch? What's up, Samuel? How you doing, Afterwatch? Welcome in, everyone. Yeah, I'm so it's been let's see, I streamed last week, right? Oh yeah, because Jack came in. But I haven't coded on this stream in quite a while because I've been traveling, and then we were kind of doing the whole thing. But what's happening? How are you all doing? What's everybody up to? Did anybody get an app submitted for the Web Dev Challenge? I got to figure out what to call it because I feel like it's not clear what the thing is. Because it's not a contest, it's a giveaway, but you got to build something. Like, should I call it a hackathon? Does it feel like a hackathon is a more accurate name for what the thing is? And if anybody doesn't know what the thing is that I'm talking about, allow me to pull up that section of my site here. This one. So this is what I'm actually talking about right now. Here's a link to it if you are interested in such things. And so this is now over. Like, today is the 9th. So actually, maybe the first thing I want to do is just update that and mark it as complete. But so I've been calling it a giveaway. But you have to build an app to be in the giveaway. And I've always had a weird feeling about hackathon as a term because I feel like hackathon implies, like the overnight or whatever. But I guess it doesn't. I don't know. Does hackathon have a bad connotation for y'all? Would it make it more clear that what we're doing is trying to get people to build apps? Because I don't know why I'm not seeing as many entries as I would have expected, given that it's like a reasonably low lift and that the giveaway is like, pretty dope desk setup. Or is it that you don't think the desk setup is as cool as I do? Because I don't know. Like, look at this. This could be your desk. I don't know. What's everybody feeling? The hangout with Jack last week, that was really enjoyable. I like Jack a lot. He's very smart, very cool, very just like a kind person. Always like that. Anyways, all right. So I'll figure out what's going on. Why don't we actually let's just jump right in here and fix this. So I will start up. Actually, I guess I can just open my OBS here. This is how I run my website, is I've got OBS set to do these things now. So let's do the AWS. Where is it? Or no, it wasn't the chatbot one. It was the retro. Here, Jesus Christ. Okay, so this one here, I need to mark this one as done. And then let's see, I can do, need to like close the actual thingy. Subscribe to get notified of future giveaways and episodes of Web Dev Challenge. Do one of these and one of these, and we'll go to the newsletter page. And if you're not on my newsletter yet, why? So let's do that, and then down here I can git commit, and we'll go into sites, source, content, blog, and I need, it was 2024-06, 24. And then we'll get a message on there that says, close giveaway. Did I get all the, submit your web app? Crap, I gotta actually close that one as well. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Then we'll push it. Just do another quick double check that I don't have any other links to that form. No, all good. Cool. So, yeah. No, I know that it is definitely challenging to like make time to build something. I think the biggest question I have is, especially now as people are trying to, like, you know, the job market's competitive. People are trying to gain experience, get more like resume, portfolio pieces and stuff. You know, my big goal is to make this something that is sort of a structured environment to, you know, give folks a deadline, give them a community to work with, give them support from the experts on the teams that run the tools, and like result in a portfolio piece, right? So like you know, to me, like the whole reason that I do just about everything is because I really want, I feel like so much of the industry is built around this idea of like you need to learn this or you're gonna fail, or you need to do this or you're gonna get replaced by a robot, or you need to do this or you're gonna get left behind. And we don't embrace the idea of like, if you just kind of keep learning and keep staying curious, you stay pretty resilient to all of those changes that everybody gets so worried about. Because even if, you know, AI does come in and change the landscape, there's still going to be people who have AI jobs, right? So if you're interested and curious and you kind of learn how that stuff works, then you're pretty resilient to a landscape that changes to where you need to have AI skills to stay employed. Now, I don't think that's actually the case. I think there's a very big market for people who, you know, just write websites, because I think that that's going to continue to be something that we need as a species, I guess, as a civilization. But even if I'm wrong, you know, like learning a little bit about AI makes you resilient, and learning other tools, it makes you resilient and more likely to get another job. So all that being said, like my big goal here is to try to get away from this general approach of like everything is scary, everything is high pressure, everything is kind of doomy, and instead start embracing the fact that like if we can just make this a little more fun, if we can do this with our friends, then we build a network, we build resilience to the changing market, and we're more, you know, we have more to show, we have more that we can point at and say, look, I built that. Like, look, you can trust me. I know how to do this stuff. So with these giveaways, that's the goal, right? Is to try to create opportunities for people to do that with a time box, with support from a community, with the access to the advisors from these companies that are sponsoring the builds. And the question I have is like, how do I make that clear? Like, you know, what would help somebody understand that that's the goal here, and that, you know, because like I'm hoping the giveaways are an incentive, but maybe an incentive is the wrong idea. Like maybe adding an incentive puts a bad taste in people's mouths. Like I actually don't know. Let's see. Wait, what's coming? Who's in? Who can I don't one thing. Okay, so I use StreamYard and I love StreamYard. Oh, C# Fritz, what's up? Hey, thanks everybody. Hello, welcome in. Good to see you. But a downside of StreamYard is that it doesn't show you like Twitch things. It doesn't show you when you get rated or things like that. So thank you, I appreciate it. Welcome in, I'm happy you're here. And this is just another reminder that I should probably update my stuff to let me use OBS again so I can actually get events from different things. Yeah, the StreamYard, like I really like StreamYard because it keeps me from overthinking things, and it lets me do what I just did, which is bring a comment up on screen. Like being able to put a comment here and then kind of focus what I'm responding to is great. I am 100% sure there's a way to do that on OBS. I also know that when I'm on OBS, I have a tendency to want to like customize everything because you can just build a website that's an overlay. And so that was a lot of my problem before, is I had all this custom stuff on OBS, and when I would have a problem, it would sort of like derail the whole day. And StreamYard has, the biggest downside of StreamYard is that it is just absent all of these features. So I got to find a balance. I need a way to bring back some of the more chaotic elements. But yeah, who knows? The IRC access will be locked down? Ugh. I don't like that. Yeah, that's silly if that's the case. Yeah, and it misses all the fun. Yeah, I don't know. I have a fun episode of Learn with Jason coming up with Rive app, which Rive is a really, I don't know how it works, so I can't talk about it very much, and I'm really excited to learn, because as far as I can tell, it is animation built on state machines that are interactive based on data, and that can be web-based data, which means we can do things like very interactive overlays that are animated, right? In a way that would not be accessible to me otherwise, because I don't have a deep animation background. So very, very interested in that, and very curious to see how that plays out. But yeah, we'll see. But anyways, so let's see. Website is updated. Let's see. Just validate that it did in fact update. Yeah. Okay. So it's updated. All good. And now, why don't we, we're already over here, so why don't we work on some code? So let me shut this one down, and this is the one that I've been working on. So let's just get our bearings. So out here, I go to 4321, this is what I've been working on, is a sort of new version of the Learn with Jason site that is built around doing, basically what I want is like series to be the top level thing. And then when you go into a series, you get more information. And so the other big thing that I want to move to is I've been trying to figure out a way to do crowdfunding that I'm comfortable with, because I don't love the idea of pushing people to Twitch subs or YouTube memberships or things like that. Mainly because they like aren't controlled external, like they're very handing over all the keys to a streamer, and I'm uncomfortable with the companies sort of controlling that, because they'll arbitrarily increase prices or change the way that payouts work, or they can just decide to like ban my account for no reason, and all of that makes me a little bit uncomfortable to like try to build revenue off of. And I'm also, I don't know, I just have a weird feeling about revenue in general. Like my stance for a long time has been that companies should pay and it should be free to individuals. But enough people have shown support either by becoming GitHub sponsors, or they'll ask me how they can do like a one-time donation, or they become YouTube members, they become Twitch subscribers, and all those things it's making me realize that like I shouldn't require it, but I should make it possible, because I think that if enough people sponsor the show or sponsor the efforts, right, it opens up the door to doing things that I'll never get sponsored. Like I really want to make some goofy stuff that it won't make sense for a company to sponsor. Like it's just not, it doesn't play into the sponsorship model. And so if I ever want to make that stuff, I either need to raise prices so that the sponsors pay enough profit that I can make that stuff, which I'm trying to do. I'm working toward building enough of a profit margin that I have the ability to invest into like unsponsored things. Or alternatively, or in combination, I can open up a sponsorship model, and anybody who wants to become like a patron would be able to then sign up for what'll probably be a Stripe subscription for, I think I'm going to do it pay what you will, or pay what you want, like minimum $1, because I think that anything lower than $1, the Stripe subscription fee would kind of just eat all of it. But so a minimum $1, but then you can choose to go as high as you want, and then maybe I'll try to figure out some tiers where it results in a logo or I don't know, maybe like a consult call monthly or something like that, right? We can figure out, I don't know, what would be valuable to you? What would you like? What would make you want to sponsor it, say $100 a month or something like that? Let me know, and if there's something that you want, then maybe we can set it up as a tier. But that being said, my view is to run that all through the Learn with Jason site itself. And then the other thing that enables is, instead of having to, like you may have noticed that I just released a video on, it wasn't the web challenge, although I am very excited about the web dev challenge. It was instead this web lunch episode. So web lunch updated today, and this episode with Salma came out, right? And so I'm very excited about this episode with Salma. I think it's really good. I think you should all watch it. It's very good. And so that being said, I had this set to members only on YouTube. So for the folks who are YouTube members, they got to watch this for like a week in advance, if they wanted to. But the problem is I can't make that available to like Twitch subscribers, and I can't make that available to GitHub sponsors. And I don't like that. I feel weird about that, because then it's like, I'm pushing people toward YouTube instead of Twitch, and I don't really care. Like, I don't care where you want to watch from. I want you to be able to use whatever platform you prefer, and it's fun for everybody no matter what. So that then points to like, what if instead you can sign in to an account like this, and this is all very unstyled right now. So you can see, let's go, that's not true, I had a passkey, whatever. I think I used GitHub. And so then once you get in here, you would be able to like just have a membership. You don't need to pay to have a membership, but you could add a subscription and that would give you early access to things. And then I'm going to be able to put the videos on Mux. And so Mux will act as like the Learn with Jason video delivery service. And then I'll put them on YouTube for distribution. But if you've ever seen like Nebula is a Nebula TV. So basically like Nebula does this same model, but it's not, it's sort of like Patreon specifically for, I don't know, it's got a whole vibe, right? But I kind of like the idea of just owning that platform because why not, right? Like why not own your platform? So all of that being said, I just think it's worth exploring and seeing like how difficult this actually is to build. And I have a feeling that I'm going to find a lot of things that I want to do differently, and I'm going to hit a lot of road bumps. But at the same time, this is my business, right? This is my full-time gig. So figuring out a way to make this work is pretty high priority for me. And if I can get this right, I think it makes a big difference in the way that things go. Thanks, G. Langston. Yeah, the Web Dev Challenge is super fun. I am having so much fun making it. And we've got a new episode of that coming out in about a week, I think. Should be about a week. We'll get a new episode. Very excited about that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we've got another one already recorded in editing. That'll come out about 3 weeks after. And then I'm in the process of negotiating like another 4. So good news. Looks like this show works. Lots of people want to watch it, and companies are very excited about trying to participate and sponsor. So we should have tons of fun doing a lot of these episodes for hopefully the foreseeable future. We'll see how this plays out. Thanks, VDog. All right. So this kind of being the goal here, and if you look at it, you can kind of see they're working with tons and tons of creators. And if this works, I don't know if any of you were here the day that Root Access TV was conceptualized, but someone in chat came up with the idea for Root Access TV. I bought the domain rootaccess.tv. It's parked right now, so there's nothing there. But like in the future, what if there is like a nebula.tv, but it's rootaccess.tv and it's for dev creators who want to do the same kind of thing? You launch a series, people can subscribe for early access, they can be a supporter, and the money gets redistributed out so that the dev creators can reinvest in making stuff that's not sponsored, which I think is like, this is one of the big challenges, is if you are a big fan of, say, CSS, there aren't a lot of companies that will sponsor you to make CSS content. So instead, you kind of end up in this challenge where you have to make content that companies will pay for if you want it to be your full-time job. Or you have to be somebody like Kevin Powell, who is prolific and makes courses and has been doing this for a long time, and like, it is very difficult to be Kevin Powell. And if you're not familiar with Kevin Powell, let's take a quick look here. So Kevin is approaching 1 million subscribers, which is wild, and does a ton of stuff on CSS, right? I mean, he does a lot of other stuff as well. Like here's some JavaScript stuff and things like that. But like, you can kind of see like there's quite a bit of CSS stuff in here, and having the CSS stuff in here is like if you want to go do that for a job, it would be really, really difficult. So all of that being said, the big idea here is maybe there's a way to build something like Nebula. And this is one of those like far future goals where if I can prove it out for me, maybe we can expand it to bring in others. And if it works for others, then maybe we turn it into an actual business. But in the short term, can we build a dashboard that you can log into and then create a subscription and then get early access to stuff? And that's really the whole goal. That's really all I want is build a place where we can put some videos. And I think I have this broken right now. I do. So I changed the way that a couple things work, and I haven't gone through and fixed it yet. So why don't we just go ahead and let's get that working, and then I'll be able to show how the rest of the site works. So let's see. This is all good, and then we're gonna get into the. So as a kind of overview of what's going on here, we have a SSR Astro site because we're doing the auth is all server side. So we are in fact there's like no JavaScript in play right now. So if I disable JavaScript and I reload this page, or not this one because this one's broken, then we've got like no JavaScript running here, but we can still navigate, we can get to our profile, like all this works with JavaScript disabled. And this was a big thing I wanted to experiment with in Astro is like, can we actually bring in this fully server rendered experience where it works without JavaScript so that we have a good experience of working on this site. And once I fix that bug, the experience will get a lot better. Let's see. Kevin Powell makes excellent content, but our front ender finds him too slow. I mean, he's thorough, right? And so yeah, sometimes you have to skip ahead, or if you already know something, kind of skip to the next section of the video. What's up, Joshua? How you doing? Vinny, let's see how this plays out, because if I actually have the money to hire people, I will definitely take you up on that. What's the best way to get into designing with Figma? I think the best way to get into designing with Figma is to recognize what it is you're trying to accomplish with the design, because I think that from my perspective, like I knew when I was working on, where are we at? Here's the new one. I knew that like I wanted to look at these sites. So this is like, here's Crunchyroll, here's Netflix, what's that one? Paramount Plus, Hulu, Apple TV Plus, Cartoon or Adult Swim, NBC, or what is that? Yeah, that's NBC. Yeah, this is Peacock, this is Max. So I wanted to kind of look at what are the common threads in these sites that are built around series. And so based on that, I wanted to be able to pull all these in together. So I went and got the screenshots. And you can see screenshots get weird on some of these where like, I think it was Apple TV Plus just like cooked all their thumbnails because they were doing something weird. And but so all that sort of stuff is, but you can kind of see there's like some commonalities in what's going on here. And so I then went in here and I started looking at what does it look like to do a series for me. And so built this out, and this was a thinking tool for me, more or less. Like I was able to kind of take what was in these layouts and then turn it into a layout that made sense for me, and then kind of think through what these ones look like with this is like a single episode. So you've got who the sponsors are, the description and stuff, who's in it, and then links to more with credits, because I need to be able to, like on a lot of these, like on a web lunch, there's 5 or 6 or 7 people involved in there's camera, there's sound, there's editing, there's title design, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And so I need to be able to list that. And then I've got all the people who are supporting the show, which is, you know, like I want to make sure that that's a big part of it, because if you financially contributed, like you get listed, like that's how this works, right? And so all of those things are kind of worked out in here the way that I wanted them to do it. And if I hadn't done that in Figma, I think I would have burned a lot of time in code trying to get, you know, because like this is a fairly intricate thing to lay out, because it's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different components. And getting these 6 different pieces laid out in a way that I'm happy with in code would have taken me a really long time. Getting it laid out here also took me a long time, but it wasn't as much, like to drag something around is much easier than like trying to rewrite all the grid CSS to get something to move. So I was able to try stuff like, you know, maybe I swap these around, or I move the date to the bottom, or I move the date to the top, and I can kind of check what that looks like and see how it feels. And once I've got somewhere that I'm happy with, then I can, you know, I can also do things like duplicate these over and over again very quickly, but then have like in here, there's actually I set up these components so that I could actually edit stuff like this, and I can just go in here and change that, and it just works, right? So I can try different values and get a sense for like, is it gonna fit if I've got a 2-digit number in here? Is it gonna fit if we use full month names? And the answer is no. And what does it look like with a longer title? And so I can get in here and say like, with friends and enemies. And see, I didn't design it to support that, right? So like that's a whole thing that I'll have to go and figure out. And if I was trying to do that again in code, I could do it in code. I've done stuff like this in code. But Figma makes it, like doing it as a design, it allows me to kind of start with wireframes and then like slowly increase the fidelity. And it's because I've taken the time to learn this tool. So I do think there's something to be said for, you know, if you don't know Figma, you might be faster doing it in code. Because I know both, I have found that I tend to be faster conceptually in Figma, and then once it gets into like the implementation phase, I'm much more code first. So anyways, very long answer. Yeah, being a back-ender, Kevin Powell definitely, I think he makes the stuff really accessible, which is why I think he has almost 1 million subs. He is very, very good at making sure that people understand what he's talking about. He doesn't skip things. He doesn't assume context. And so I do think that can be, yeah. Vinny said it right above. Like he helps it stick. So let's see. Thank you. One Punch Mac. What a great name. Playing with Figma is, I think, a great way to get into it. What's up, Arsheg? How you doing? And thank you. All right. So here's what I want to do next, I think, is let's get this error fixed. So we've got the site set up. I'm using Astro DB to hold the episode data. We're using Astro Clerk auth, which is very cool. And I'm gonna over here. This is it I don't know, actually. Just realizing that I've never met this person outside of GitHub, so I only know them as a username, Elif, I think. But this is it's called a community implementation, but it's built by a Clerk team member. So this is a really good, like, front and back end solution for putting Clerk into Astro. So that's what we're working with here. And you can see we've got it kind of set up. I'm just bouncing people to home pages after they've signed up or signed in. We've got the database set up. I'm using Unpick, which is built by Matt Kane, who used to work at Netlify and now actually works at Astro. And what Unpick is it's sort of a framework agnostic way to do images in just about every framework and meta framework. And it's aware of things like it'll recognize if you use Cloudinary, which is one of the big reasons that I use it, and it will automatically create a source set for you. And it allows art direction and stuff that is not hard, but like irritating to do if you've got to do it long ways, and like people won't finish it. So let me share a quick link to that. Did I drop? Oh, let me pull up like actually show that link on screen for a second, and then we'll get unpick up. So this is unpick, and unpick has a bunch of libraries associated with it, and the one that you'll probably end up using, my guess would be, is unpick image. And you can see here, this is all of the frameworks that it supports. So you can drop it in just about everywhere. It's very good, and worth you know, like, do your thing, enjoy it. It's a lot of work that you don't want to do that is kind of done well for you. And I think I think there's like a good. Does it show like the output? So you define just like this, so it's an image tag that looks just like the Astro assets, and you just import from unpick Astro instead. And then I think what comes out, it's not going to show. Here we go. This is what it looks like on the end. And so we get things like loading lazy and decoding async, and then it sets up the source set, and it automatically uses the CDN that it's on to do their transformation. And here's why this is a big deal, because if you use like Astro's built-in image service or Next's built-in image service or Gatsby or any of them that have a built-in image service, it's not using the CDN. It's instead downloading the image from the CDN and then using their own internal service, which is usually a serverless function, or I think like Next is white labeling Imagix. Netlify, I think, is just doing it in-house, and a few of the others are you know, they do it different ways. But so then you're like losing the benefit of having this stuff on a CDN, because why bother paying for a CDN if your website is going to download everything anyways and then serve it off of your website's bandwidth? Like, what I like about Unpick is that it's using the Shopify CDN and actually knows how that CDN API works, so that it can deliver the images with the CDN resized versions, so that you're not wasting your bandwidth. Like Shopify's CDN will eat this bandwidth for all these different image variations. You didn't have to hope that Sharp doesn't have an error. You didn't have to hope that your millions of images on your website aren't burning all of your serverless minutes and running up your bill. Like image management CDNs are very good at managing image assets, so let them do that. And Unpick just does that by default. You don't have to wrestle with whatever framework. And again, it works basically the same on every framework, with like some very light variations, because it's got to be framework specific. So like if you're in Lit, I think it's it's like unpick dash image instead of capital image, and then Angular, I think, is it's just it's a tag like that. So like it's mostly the same. Like between Astro and Preact, for example, there's no functional difference. You can copy paste them in between, right? Same with React, same with, I think, Solid.js. Yeah, look at that. So basically, depending on if you're using one of the ones that uses like a JSX style component model, it's copy paste between all of them. If you are using something like Angular or Lit that's got a slightly different format, or like WebC, I think is going to have the same as Lit. So it's nice. It's nice and easy. I like it a lot, and I don't need to talk about it anymore. So if this supports payload CMS's stuff, so here's the cool thing about it, is that you can check here. It'll list all the ones that are default. I don't see payload CMS in there now, but you can add support if it has a URL API. If it doesn't require signed URLs, because signed URLs are server-side only. So like React and like front-end stuff can't work with a signed URL. But basically, yeah, you can add whatever CDN. Thanks, Jamie. I'm trying to embrace not being somebody who only wears black, because I've been somebody who only wears black for a very, very long time. And you know, I did it because I'm a bigger guy and I've always been self-conscious. And so I was thinking that like by wearing black, I was making myself look slimmer, which I don't think is actually true. I think dressing well is what makes you look slimmer. So I'm just trying to get better at dressing myself. So let's see. Let's see. What do I got next? So all right. So here we are back in the code. We've got yeah, the image services. I'm using Clerks for that. Clerk is for the avatar here, and so this is. I needed to make sure that that was allowed, and then I'm deploying to Netlify. So we add the Netlify adapter, and that's basically how this site works. So then out here we've got the image, and you can see that in here there's not really anything special. We're not doing anything wild. I've got my, you know, my series comes out of an interface function that like queries the database, and then I loop through everything. I set up the images, and that's that. And then this is breaking because, oh, I know why. Because I switched to server rendering mode, and so get static paths doesn't work anymore. So instead, I'm going to, I need to refactor this to do this searching on each page load. And I need that to happen in a way that doesn't completely explode whenever I run it. And so to do that, we need to oops. That's too. So we need to query. Going to select the collection by slug, and then we need to get parent series details, get child episode details. And that's done right now in this interface out here. So I've got the way this is set up is I made everything a resource. This is, thanks Joel Hooks for kind of talking me off the ledge with this, because originally what I had was this this really complicated, like tons of tables and all this stuff. And Joel was like, just make it a resource, because everything is going to have an ID and who created it and when it was created, updated, deleted, etc. And then you can just add a JSON fields column to do that. And then you that's really it, right? That's all you kind of need. And then you can create the relationships with this join table. And if you're not super comfortable with databases, the base idea here is that you have a child ID and a parent ID, and then I wanted a position so that I could reorder things. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So, and then if I need to, I can put metadata on here. I doubt I'll actually use that. That was kind of a just in case. I've got ID, user information, and this is going to be used for, like, if I have a guest on a show, I want to be able to have them, you know, their Twitter, Instagram, et cetera, I want them to be able to update all that on their own. So this is going to be linked to that user login. Haven't done that yet. That's on my to-do list here. And then the user resource is a mapping of which users own which resources and so on and so forth. And honestly, might not even need, still in the early stages of getting this exactly right. So there might be some fields that I end up, you know, duplicating, deleting, etc. Such as this one here, this resources. I ended up not using this because it made it one way, and I wanted to be able to start in the middle with a collection. So let's see. What would be the benefit of using unpick when compared to weserve/images? I don't know if I can answer that, because I'm not sure what weserve images is. Weserve images. That's not what I wanted to do. No, I don't want to go to a website. We serve images. The main reason would be that this is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. If you are using this for everything, then you don't. I mean, you could use unpick image, because what this won't do for you, I don't think. Let's see. This is not doing anything to generate HTML. So for example, when you are in here and you look at this is actually really important to get right, because if your loading is lazy, but the thing is above the fold, then that's actually not great. It'll mess with your loading times. And your source sets are important to add, because otherwise you're downloading the full resolution image on a tiny little phone screen, and that doesn't make any sense. So you're burning hundreds of kilobytes. So WeServe is an image CDN, like a self-hosted image CDN. Unpick would use your self-hosted image CDN to generate markup that is that actually uses it well. Yes, thank you for the raid. Sorry, I can't see when people raid, so I didn't see you come in. But hello and welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. So let's actually dig into this a little bit more. So we've got our columns here, and then we're seeding the data. You can kind of see the way that I've set this up. I have the episodes. Each episode is set up like this. We've got an ID, who created it, what type it is, it's an episode. And then in the fields is all the stuff that you would expect to see. When it was published, title, description, what the YouTube ID is, the playback ID is from Mux, it's slug, thumbnail, and then resources right now I'm not actually using, so I might end up deleting that entirely. I've got that set up for every episode that I've put into the database so far. My collections, I have set up. They have a release year, a name, and a slug. Otherwise, they're kind of the same as the episodes in terms of the outer details. The series have a title, slug, description, and a banner image. And then we've got our user. So this is my test user. And then down here, we put in all of the episodes, collections, and series into the resource table. And then we create relationships. So this is like it's like the series, and then the collection, and then I can't remember. I think, or maybe this is the collection, and then like you can see this parent ID is the same as this child ID. So like this would be the season, this would be the collection, and then each of these ends up being the episodes in that season, right? So kind of a little hard to read, but at the end of the day, kind of makes my life easier. Then we've got the user resource table to link the users and the resources. So kind of heavy, kind of messy, but it is doing what I want it to do. And then I've got this interface here, and this is a bear. SQL is like something that I know how to do, but I don't know if I'm doing it in the best possible way. So if anybody here is a DBA, be prepared. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get all my resources, and AstroDB runs using I think a slightly modified version of Drizzle, and Drizzle is an ORM. It's pretty good. I have a few things that I'm confused about with it. I actually just opened an issue, and I'm not sure if it's a Drizzle thing or an Astro thing with JSON escaping. But check this out. So here, this is the gnarliest SQL query I've ever written. So buckle in. I am pulling out the ID type fields created at, updated at, deleted at, and created by ID, as well as a field called resources, as well as a resource called parent. And then we pull all that out of the resource table, which we alias as R, and that's why all these are R dot. And then down here, we left join our resource relationships as children, and then we left join resource again. So from this one to this one, back to this one again, and we alias it as child so that we can get the current resources ID match to the parent ID in resource relationships, and then we grab the resource that is the child ID in resource relationships and bring that back in as our child, right? So that would be like the collection has an episode. Then we do the same thing in reverse to get any parents, and that would be like the collection getting its series, right? Then we group by the current resources ID, and we make sure that the type matches whatever we're querying. So like collection, for example, we get the rows, and then I have a little bit of an issue where the some of the pieces don't come back as escape JSON, so I have to like parse them. It's kind of a pain, but it's fine. And then we end up with, let's see, I sort the resources by their position, which currently doesn't do anything because they all default to 0, and then we return that resource, right? Got the same thing to get people. This one is actually using the standard drizzle stuff. So we just select these fields. We get them from user resource, left join on the user where they match the user ID, and then we make sure that the episode ID and the resource ID match, right? Okay, fine, all good. Then we've got a helper that wraps around resources to get series, and that one goes through to make sure that we've got the that it matches the schema, and the schema is, I just set up a Zod schema to be sure that it works, because what I wanted to be able to do was check that the fields match. So we just extend the core resource and then do a match on the fields, so that we've got a JSON object that actually matches what we expected. And if that doesn't work, then we get an error, so on and so forth. We do the same thing for collections. You get the collections. We parse them as collections, and then if it works, we return that. And then this is me trying to rewrite that big gnarly query as a drizzle query, and I'm having, it's like, it's sort of working. I'm not quite there yet. I'll get there eventually, probably, maybe. So all that, we now need to go deeper and figure out how to query by the collection slug. Good? With me? Okay, so I don't have a keyboard command, but what I have is a Moonlander. This is a Moonlander, and I do have the platform on it. You can see this big old metal hunk on the bottom. It weighs like 1,000 pounds, but it does keep the keyboard from sliding around, and I think that's worth it. So, all right. So what I was looking at doing is I was actually looking at getting my stuff from an API route, because then I can cache it. Because so my reasoning for this is that on an Astro site, by default, when you build an Astro site, it's static. And that means that all the data, all the assets, everything are on CDNs of varying, wherever they live. Like if you deploy to Netlify, then everything is on the Netlify CDN. It's a static asset. It just works. As you opt into server-side rendering, it becomes serverless functions. And those serverless functions are, for a reasonable amount of traffic. Like they're free. You'll stay under the invocation limit. They're fast. You don't really have a lot to worry about. But when you start getting into higher amounts of traffic, or if you manage to go viral or somebody DDoSes your site, that serverless usage can get really expensive because it auto scales, right? Like somebody can send 1 billion DDoS queries to your site, and your site will just scale up to manage that, and then you'll get a $50,000 bill. So what I want to do instead is I want to figure out how to get this all on a CDN when possible. And so the way that I want to do that is if I put it behind an API route, I can send back a cache header. And since I'm on Netlify, I can use some specifics of how Netlify works to make sure that Netlify will keep that, it will keep the data cached between API queries, potentially even between builds. I got to look at whether or not that's a reasonable thing to do, because every time somebody loads a page, I don't want to have to run this database query. That feels like a silly way to burn through a lot of bandwidth. Because if you're querying for a series, that data doesn't change between builds. It just won't. And because of that, then I need a way to tell everybody, to tell the CDN that, like, look, just serve the cached version of this. Like, don't bother requerying every time. So that's why I'm looking at an API route. I could probably do this other ways. This is just the way that I chose. What's up, Charles? Good to see you. Sorry for being distracting. How many images or how much size does it take for you to take a hit on your Vercel bill? Legitimately, I don't know. I don't use Vercel, so I'm not sure. You'd have to look at what their it's going to be a factor of like your bandwidth. So how big are the images? How many images are people seeing on any given load? So like if somebody's getting 10 megabytes of assets on the average site visit, and you know that your site is not caching them very well because it's generating something, it's server-side rendering everything, then you would need to assume that, like, if they start, I don't know where they start charging, but let's assume they start charging after a gigabyte of bandwidth, your 10 megabytes per page load means that a gigabyte of bandwidth is what, like 1,020 visits before is that right? 10,000 visits before you get into, that can't be right. I'm doing this math wrong. Doesn't matter. But you can do the math. Like, you know how math works. If you figure out what the bandwidth cap is, and then you figure out how much you're serving per site, if you're not caching well, then that's when you would get hit. And typically, like, I would say an average site that's not hugely popular, you're probably not going to get hit. Like, I think, Netlify, Vercel, they're all set up to do pretty well on bandwidth. Next does some weird stuff with caching, but if you're using Astro, you should be in pretty good shape, because Astro will process the images once, and the get URL should be cached. I don't know if Vercel does that automatically. So you just have to watch your bandwidth and see, like, how much bandwidth you're burning through. And you can also, like, Netlify and Vercel, they all have spending limit caps. So if it's a site that you don't mind going down if it gets too popular, like if it's a side project and you don't want to spend money on it, just set a spending limit of like $50. And if you blow through your bill, the site will just come down and say, like, hey, this site is over its bandwidth. And that's okay. Like, that's a choice you can make as a site author. If you're making money off the site, then you might want to be a little more careful about just turning it off, and instead start paying attention to, like, how much bandwidth you're using. And really, if you don't ever want to have to think about any of that stuff, just look into something like Cloudinary, which has really high bandwidth limits and is super efficient with the way that it does these queries, so that you won't have to stress about it. So let's try to get this running, and let's actually look at what I've done so far. So this API route lives out here, and let's see if I've got it cached. It's API / do it anyways. Oh, /series / do it anyways. Okay, so I currently have my my SQL is bad. So let's try to write this again. So where we are right now, in fact, if we take all of this out for now, and I gotta stop hitting that button. So we take all this out, and we instead just return a new response, and that response is going to be the slug, and we'll do status of 200, right? Okay, so that's going to be, what do you want? Oh, I need to stringify this. JSON stringify. All right, so here's our response. And so when I go back out here and I reload, we get our slug is do it anyway. So whatever we put in here is going to be what comes out, right? And that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So then what we want to do is we want to make a query, and let's see if we can just do this the simple way. Let's get our result is going to equal await db select. And so if we start with just resource here, and then we'll add a where, and we need an equals for that. So I'm just doing, this is drizzle stuff. And what we want is we're going to say equals resource type. And why don't we just start by saying collection and see what we get back. And then instead of returning the slug, we will instead return the result.rows. Updated at, oh, it's just returning the, all right, so let's see what we got here. Oops, that's the wrong button that I just clicked. There we go. All right, so we've got this one here. This looks good. I'm happy about this. Why don't we, for the sake of making this a little bit easier to read, pretty print it. Okay, so now we're getting back, here's our like season 1, here's our collection 2024, but it's not really connected to anything yet. So we need to update this to be, to actually use the parent data, right? So let's try a left join, and we're gonna resource relationships, which I then need to download. And then that's going to equal resource ID and resource relationships parent ID. And I'm realizing now that we're going to need to alias this. So const parent equals alias. And we're going to say resource relationships as parent. And then we're going to do that one more time. As child, because we're going to have to get at the, it's going to be children. Oh, and then we'll need one more because we're going to have to get back into the resources, remember? So this is where this gets wild, right? So the resource is going to be a child, and oh, we're going to need to do it. Oh, man, okay. So it's going to be parents, and then this is going to be parent. So parent child. So this will actually be, you know what? Why don't we name it what it is? It's going to be a series, and this is going to be an episode. And then these are going to be episodes, and that one, I guess, can stay what it is because I don't know what the plural of this plural of series is series, so I'm just going to leave it. So we're going to left join on parents, and then we're going to left join again on a series where the parents dot child ID equals the series dot ID. Then we're going to left join again where episodes, and we want it to be resource dot ID, and that's again going to be episodes dot parent ID. And then we're going to left join yet again on episode, and this time it's going to be episodes dot child ID and episode.id. Okay. So I want to, let's see if I can just do, well, in fact, why don't we just leave it and let's see what comes out. Is this just going to work? This would be really great if it just worked. No, no such column. Resource relationships dot parent ID. I don't believe you. Oh, because we don't have a resource relationships. We only have parents. Hey, okay, so now what we got? We've got our resource itself, which is the ID. And you know what we can probably do? You know what I just realized? We can simplify this. So we're gonna do collection, and that's gonna be an alias of resource as collection, right? And then we're gonna take this one and we're gonna call this resources. And here, and here, and here, and here, right? Because these are all the same thing, right? So then I can drop out this one, and then this is going to be called collection. And the reason I just did that is, let's see, I want you and you and you and you are all going to be collection now. All right. Good? Good. Let's see how that worked. And that results in, crap. Alias resources is already used in this query. Oh, that sucks. Oh, wait, maybe I can just do it this way. So we get our collection, we get our resources, we get our series, and we get our episode. Okay, so that's like getting closer, but notice that this is a single result and not our array of results. So we get this really long, gnarly thing. I don't want that. So we're going to group by collection ID. And what does that turn into? Doesn't turn into shit, does it? Or wait, it kind of does, but it like breaks. So we've got our collection, but then our resources, these all break. What if I, let's see, can I, what happens if I do something like that? Absolutely nothing. What if I only group on that? I don't know how grouping works is like my key challenge here. So we group on, yeah, that didn't change anything. And this is where I get confused, right? So we're gonna group on collection ID, and then what I wanna try is let's do this. Let's see what happens if I get the collection, and then I say series is going to be series, and then episodes is going to be, how is this going to work? It's going to be like a sequel, and then it would be JSON group array, and that would be episodes. Episode. And that results in nothing. No such column episode. Okay, so this gets us closer. It's missing some bits. So I would have to do like a JSON object, and then this is gonna suck. Okay, so the way that the JSON object works is you have to give it a name like this. And I think that has to be quoted. Does it have to be quoted? Let's see. Ambiguous column name fields. Still ambiguous. How is that ambiguous? I'm not asking you to... Oh, does it need to be like single quoted? Yes, it needs to be single quoted. So in here we get our episode fields, and see how messy this is? It just gets gross, right? So we can call this one fields, and then we would also need like the ID, and the ID is going to be episode.id. And then what happens? So we've got our ID, we've got our fields. Okay. So this is a big old mess, and so to fix it, and this is the bug that I opened, is this should be, because I'm wrapping it in JSON here, like this should result in valid JSON. And I don't know why it doesn't. It's okay. It's okay. We you know, we're good. We're doing what we do. And so then out here we get like our collection, our stuff like that. And the series, and so the series, you see, because that one's selected directly, it comes out the way that I would expect. The same with the collection. But the episodes, because we're trying to group them, they come out messy. And the unfortunate thing about that is the only way that I can think of to fix that is that we have to do something like this, where we cleaned, get like result, but then we replace episodes with JSON parse result.episodes. And then we can why don't you want to be there? Collection episodes. Are you just yelling to yell? Let's see if it works, because it should work. Undefined is not valid JSON, so something is going wrong. Oh. Result.map is why that's happening. And then we get our results, and then we return one of these, and then we do one of those. Now, what are you mad about? Hush you. Okay. Now that should, and that solves it. See? So this is, like, it's fine. I'm not mad, right? It doesn't really matter. It's just a little frustrating because it feels like it should work. And then the other piece that we would need here, I guess, is we can get the position, and that would be, oh, is that gonna work? I don't think that's gonna work, so I'm not gonna bother. I'll figure that out later. So this then gives us our collection data, this gives us our series data, and it gives us our episode data. And the piece that we're missing is we need to query on this slug S1. We getting multiples? No, these are all the episodes. Yeah, all right, so that's working. Okay, woohoo! All right, yeah, because it's an array, gotta look and make that work. Yeah, the image CDN is gonna solve a lot of problems for you for sure. Let's see. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to narrow my query to only do a single collection, and then we will return only the first option. So to do that, we're going to and I need to import that. And we need that to be equals, this might be a SQL query actually. What's it going to be? It would be collection fields, and then we're going to go into it. Is this going to work? Slug. And that's going to equal slug. There's no chance this is going to work. This is way too hopeful. It's already broken. So what am I? How am I going to solve this? Because I need to be able to do this piece. So that breaks, right? Yes. No such column. Oh, wait, maybe it's going to get better. So that comes back empty, which means that it didn't, like, almost got there. Does anybody know how to do this? How to use a JSON field? Can you select by it? Where Discord? Multiple instances of, wait, so this should just work then? Do I just then have to? Oh, maybe. Maybe I just need to do it like this. Okay, so why don't, yeah, let's just go in here and we'll say one of those. Is that gonna work? SQL does one of those. Okay, what's missing? Am I missing a piece? Is it? What is going on? I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what it is. Remove the comma. Remove the comma? Oh, obviously remove the comma. What am I thinking? All right, let's try that and see what happens. Hey, that's better. But that got back. Collection type equals collection and Am I getting the wrong? I'm getting the wrong slug. Oh, I know what's going on. I'm querying by series, and I need to be querying by collection slug. So that means what I need to do is one of these, right? And then what I get up here is actually going to be the series slug and the collection slug. And then we can... I probably need a way to get by series, so handle series only. But in the meantime, we're gonna roll with this is just for collections, and we're going to use the collection slug instead. And that should result in our collection. We get our series and we get our episodes. And hey, look at that. We've got data, everybody. Wonderful. All right. So now what I need to do is, let's see. Why am I using unpick over Astro image? I talked about this a little bit earlier, way more in depth if you wanna skip back. But I'm using it because it is portable across lots of frameworks, and it uses the CDN instead of pulling it into Astro's own image manipulation, which relies on, I think, Sharp or libvips or one of those. And that ultimately results in less bandwidth and actually using the CDNs that I like, because I use Cloudinary. So that's the, yep, there it is, unpick and Cloudinary. So, all right, now we've got a working API endpoint, okay? So if I take that, then we can head into our, what are you mad about? Can I just get you to ignore, see, this feels like it's, I want you to not do that. Whatever, it's fine. I'll just pretend it's not there. Okay, we're not using that yet, so we'll just do one of those. We're not using the and anymore, so we'll clear that out. And that looks like, yeah. I'll dump all this because this was a big old mess I was making. Oh, but I should bring this part back. And I should bring that part back. Why don't we just take this whole section, in fact, and bring it up to here. And then we'll say if there's not cleaned data, or actually we should move this up and check it on the result itself. Whoa. So if there's not a result, we'll 404. If there is a result, we'll clean it, and then we will return that cleaned data. And then the rest of this can go. Okay. There we go. And we got the pretty print box because we've sent enough data now. And great. We're happy. So then, using this, I can grab my API URL here, and I can go back into my series, and instead of doing it the way that we've been doing it, let's get, the result is going to be await, and I want to, what, can I just like fetch this? I feel like that's kind of all I need, right? And then we'll say the const, what comes out? Collection, series, and episodes. Oh, you know what I want to do, though, is I do want to update this to return just the first entry. And now we get just the collection back. Collection, series, episodes. So then in here, I can get collection series and episodes out of my result in JSON. And then these are all going to get dropped out. Kind of want to, yeah, why not? Let's just do that so it leaves me alone for now. So we're doing all these things now, so we can drop that out. And then what I need to figure out is, did this just work, or do I need to refactor a little bit? My guess is I need to refactor a little bit, because it feels highly unlikely that it's exactly the same format. Failed to parse URL. Oh, because it can't just be local. Oh, that's irritating. Why don't we... Do I get, like, Astro dot request dot URL? Yes, I do. Okay. So why don't we do it like this? We're going to say URL equals new URL, and then we'll say URL dot path name. Actually, we'll call this API. And that's going to be the API. Okay, so now we're back into the original problem we had. And with the series, we should have series, and then so we need to get into the field. So series fields, and then this is probably going to be the same. And then for the episodes, we've got the episode.fields, and those are already doing what we want. So theoretically, this works. Undefined reading fields on what? 58. Series.fields.title. Series.fields.title. You exist. You don't exist. Wait. Oh. I know why. Hey, look at that. Okay, so now we've got mostly working. Something's up here. Let's look at what that is. Image the good parts, and it's just missing its source entirely. Is that because I didn't add... Okay, so we've got some we've got some issues. We can fix those issues. But we've got, you know, like we're getting closer here. This is getting a lot closer. And then let's see. Oh, I like mapped all these is why. Okay, so that's all kind of doing what we want it to do. We're not using this anymore. We're not using this anymore. And then the thing that was missing, series fields banner image. I thought that one existed. Thumbnail. Okay, so there's the thumbnail. And then the other piece we needed were these dates. And those are breaking down because of what? Something in the episode preview, so let's pull that up. And we've got the episode number, the episode publish date, oh, that was working already, so that wasn't the problem. So it's the episode number that's missing. Okay, so let's look at that. Episode number, collection slug, episode position. Ah, shit. And I don't have that position because can I just pull it in? Like, does that just work? Like, if I do position, and then I say episodes position, or resources position, I guess. Is it smart enough to know which one I'm talking about? It is. Fascinating. Okay. And then it just works. Okay. So then we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Then what happens? We get the collection.fields.slug. And this is .fields.slug. And there we go. All right, so need to order by position. Probably shouldn't do that in there. And maybe we do that. Should do that out here. Oh, this is bad. Look what I'm doing, everyone. This is terrible. And we're gonna say a dot position minus b dot position, I think. Might be the other way around. What? Okay, we also got to make sure that shows up on top because this is z-indexed poorly now. Okay, we're getting closer, but I'm missing. Let's go with episodes is going to be JSON parse. Oh, I know why that didn't work. It's because I put it in the wrong place. Will that work? That's going to be nuts if that works. Absolutely works. Here we go. Yeah, do the sort after the parse. Good call. I'm taking the win on this one because I saw that before you posted it. All right. So then, oh, this is also breaking my. Interesting. My blur isn't working here, so something in the way that I laid this page out is not working as expected because this is what I expect. Is that blur. Also, you want to see something cool? Watch how this starts blurring. See how it starts blurring before I get to the photo? This is hard to demonstrate. Let me add like a bunch of top margin here or something. Okay, check this out. So you see how there's like nothing happening here, and then see how that starts showing up before you get there? That's so much harder than it looks. But it like sort of mimics what glass actually does, where it sort of picks up things that are around it. How dare you, Vinny? But yeah, this glass effect is super cool. I learned about it from, what was his name? I took a note. Here. Jamie Gray got credit for how to do it. Artur Bien wrote the post. But so check this out. So you set like a negative margin to drop the thing below the box, and then you use a linear gradient mask to like hide that 100 pixels, so that basically you've got this invisible bit of the image hanging down, and that's picking up blur. So what that means is that you get the blur not popping in. Let me show you what happens if I turn this off. It's gonna look a little janky, but just, you know. Okay, so watch. Now, there's that like kind of violent pop there. You see where it just sort of like snaps in? And that's because it waits until it makes contact with that background to start blurring it. And so you end up with this little bit of jank. And so by doing this, this mask trick, you instead end up with a really natural appearance of that blur. And that is one of those rabbit holes that I love to fall down in the CSS world. You may note that it still does it at the top. I tried to get a negative margin going at the top, and it wasn't having it, and I don't know why. And I decided that it wasn't a big enough deal to like really stress about, so I've decided to let it be. But I felt like this was cool enough to feel okay with, right? Anyways, neat things you can do with CSS. Let me just reload this page so that it stops you reload. I gotta stop hitting that button. Okay, so then, right now we've got, this one's working. If we click into this one, is this one working? Oh, it's hard-coded to, okay, so let's fix this now to not be hard-coded. So it is currently pulling, so that's the, what am I getting out of this? We got our equals astro.params, right? And then in here, I think, is it smart enough to know? Doesn't that work? I think we get just the series slug and the collection slug. And so let's just try it and see what happens. Series slug, collection slug, and do you just work? Please let the answer be yes. Hell yeah, you do. Look at that. All right, so now we've got our data fetching from the database, pulling up the right pieces. Yep, feeling good about that. Feeling real good about that. Okay, so now the next piece would be, let's see if we can get, does it work with every major browser? It should, in fact, because mask image, if I remember correctly, is baseline now. Yes, it's baseline 2023. So it'll work with all major browsers. Full compatibility, it looks like it works. Dang, this works everywhere. Yeah, so this works. I actually, what would the other be? It would be backdrop filter. That is not yet. So backdrop filter won't work on Safari, but so it'll just be kind of there, right? So you could, I guess, maybe what I'll do is check for support on backdrop filter, and then if it works, leave it, and otherwise do. Oh, and it's experimental too, so that's probably coming soon. Yeah, so you could just kind of do a supports check, I think, and if we get the supports check, then it would. You could show like a partially transparent background, like, you know, make it 90% transparent instead of being a blur. But yeah, so that should. I'll deal with that toward the end. I'm gonna have to do a pass on like compatibility checks and stuff, and I haven't done my mobile pass yet to make it all work. But I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. So I think the next piece, how much time do we have? We got like an hour left, y'all. So I think the next piece I want to tackle is seeing if we can get. Let's see if we can get the Clerk stuff tied to a Stripe subscription. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's head over to Stripe. And then I have my dashboard. Let me pull this off screen just in case. I don't remember what's on here. I'm going to make sure that I'm not looking at like a client's account or something. Get in here. And what service is this? Here's Learn with Jason. And this is my. Oh, you know what I just realized? You know what sucks, y'all? I got fired by my fulfillment company, so my store needs to be closed. That actually reminds me, I'm gonna shut that down right now before somebody tries to order something and I can't send it to them. Oh, that was what I wanted. It's this one. Can you just go into like standby mode? Because that's what I want. Home. Disable store temporarily. Orders. No. Here. That's a manage account for my account. Settings. That's probably what I'm after. General. How do I just turn it off, though? Telling user permissions, payments. Yo, just like let me. I just want to turn it off. Stores, sales channels. Oh my God, just. Can you not just like do this? Oh my goodness. I know you want to see, I know. Let's see, so in here, I need to Shopify disable store. Deactivating your store. How do I do that? Pausing, that's probably what I really want. I want to pause. Pause your store. Shopify admin, store owner, settings, plan, deactivate store, pause and build. Yeah, that's what I want. So, wait, it read it and then I didn't pay attention. Settings, plan, deactivate store, pause and build. I understand. Apps built-in admin, that's fine. I don't need any PII. Okay. We're done? And that should theoretically mean that when I go to store, will it let somebody buy? Store isn't taking orders right now. Okay, that sucks, but I need to figure something out because I certainly cannot ship these myself. It just won't happen. So anyways, that was a little chore that I forgot to do when I got fired by my fulfillment center. Test data. Oh, this is perfect. So this is in test mode, so I can just bring this over and we can just look at stuff. So this is my test stuff, and it's all 0 in the previous period. Yeah. Okay, this is great. This is exactly what I want. So then I want to be able to set up, do I have products and stuff set up in here? Ah, you can see that I have thought of this before. But so, yeah, so basically what I want to be able to do is I want to have subscriptions. So we're going to call these, right now I have like a Boop enthusiast. Support learn with Jason with a monthly contribution. And we're just going to kind of leave that as is, and we'll say, is there like a pay what you want option here? Price by currency? Be cool if we had, do they do like purchasing power parity on Stripe? Because that would be dope. I don't know. Well, okay, so we'll say $5. So $5 is how this is going to start, and additional structured metadata. How to sell. That's probably fine. And we add the product. Okay, so we've got the Boop enthusiast. Let's add one more. We'll say Boop. Can I spell this right on the first try? Connoisseur. I did it. Haha. This one we'll say is 20, and it's a and we could probably do more with that, but I think let's just start with the 2, and then we'll go from there, right? So then the next thing that I want to do is I want to figure out how to allow somebody to subscribe, and then we want the webhook to update their Clerk account. Because then what we can do is if the Clerk account has like the subscription level, so it'll be, you know, free, enthusiast or connoisseur, then we can set permissions where like you can see or not see certain pages as a result of that, which we probably won't have time to build that part today, But maybe what we can do is get the dashboard to display the current. Maybe we can make like a gated section of the dashboard just as like a thing that shows only if you have the thing. So let's see. Let's see what happens. How do we do that? Let's see. Stripe docs. And Stripe, I feel like hosted is probably the right call. I don't think I want no code. I think I want SDKs. Probably just go, well, do I need? I feel like what I really need is like a Node SDK. What am I loading this for? Like, what does it do? That's not really what I'm after. I'm after a Node SDK or a backend SDK. Anybody remember how all this stuff works? Evil Vinny and Evil Motley. Because really all I want is, like, I need a button. That button will accept online payments, create a subscription. See, but I don't necessarily need all of, maybe I do need the client-side JS. That feels like a bummer. We're going to do all this work to make the auth work without it. Add a pricing preview page. So the form goes to create checkout session, has a price lookup key. Okay, so that's just a plain old form. And then the create checkout session. Oh, cool. See, there we're blowing keys. You're welcome, Vinny. We'll roll that later. So this is Stripe price list. We do the lookup key to get the prices, and then we create a Stripe checkout session, get a redirect URL, and then we need to redirect them to the session.url. Okay. Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't panic. That does feel like a miss, though. Stripe, like, let me toggle that on and off so that I don't blow my keys when I show anybody something. Okay, so this feels like it's probably fine. There's almost certainly a Node SDK for Stripe. Stripe Node, there it is. Okay, great. Don't know why that's not in their docs, but that's fine. Then in here we have it's in here now. What, dude? I don't get it. You know, I feel like the Stripe docs are so good, but they suffer from that problem where they do so much that you can't find anything. But I'm here now. I'm here. I'm with it. And so we've got our npm install Stripe. And we get back over here, and then what happens? I need to get my secret keys so I can get my secret key, which is already in here, it looks like. Do I already have, I have a .end, but I don't remember what's in it, so we're gonna just hide the screen for a second while I look at that. And yeah, we're gonna Stripe secret key. Okay, now let's close that up. And now I can bring the screen back. All right, so then in here, I want to get into the dashboard, I think. Or no, I think the first thing we're going to do actually is set up an API key. So this is going to be Stripe create checkout URL. I guess this would, we can just, I don't need it to be too fancy here. And then this is the test key, so we'll switch that out for the process.env.stripe secret key. And then what? Okay, so the only thing I really need to do here is create a checkout. So this is, let's see, export const post. All right, and so I need to be able to look up. Already got my Stripe, so we don't need that. So Stripe sessions, checkout create. We're going to go to oh, it's going to be in here, isn't it? We get the, I think that's right. I gotta change all this. Is that right? API route. It's not assignable to type API route because we are returning nothing yet. That's fine. That's an expected error. And then let's try this from Stripe. You're lying. And then this should be fine. That's what I thought. No! What? And then, let's see, down here we've got our success URL, so that's going to need to be equals new URL request dot URL. And line items. I don't know if do I need line items? I thought I wanted line items. Oh, okay, so I need to do a look. What the hell is a lookup key then? Checkout. So is my lookup key in here? That's my product ID. What's the lookup ID? Is it like, is this what I'm after then? Is it just default price? Let's try this and see what happens. We're gonna set a quantity of 1, and that should give me my session. And then what we're gonna do is we get our session. If something goes wrong, we throw an error. Otherwise, we redirect response, and the response is going to be null. It's going to be a status of 301, and the location is going to be session.url, I think. That's a header. That should work, theoretically speaking, if I post to it. And so to post to it, I need to get into my dashboard. And that's not my dashboard. Here's my dashboard. And we're going to say, so this is going to be form action post, and no, form action to API Stripe checkout. Method is post, and it's going to have a, it should have an input type hidden, but right now we're not actually sending anything, so we'll just say, right? Okay. So then we come out here, restart the site, because we never did finish that part. Oh, I never actually installed that module, which is why it was yelling at me about the module. And then you're mad because what? Is it supposed to be new Stripe? Require Stripe. No, that's not what I want. I want import Stripe using import Stripe from Stripe, and then you just run a new Stripe. That's annoying. Just hush, hush you. No overload matches of this call. Okay, now what? Header location string null. Just leave me alone, okay? Try again. Here we go. All right, become a Boop enthusiast for $5 a month. When I click this button, it should take me to Stripe. Let's go. Oh, boo. Why don't you... I bet I did it the wrong way. I bet it is import.meta. Either switch to subscription mode. Okay. Oh, whoops, don't do that. All right, so reloading. Hit the button. Puts us in a thingy. Did they, what's the test? What's the test credit card? Does anybody remember? Oh, right, because now we've got payment flows that include authentication. The charge succeeds. Okay, so then this one here, theoretically, just works. And then we drop in a 1, 2, 2, 3. That's got to be in the future. What did I say? And we do one of these. Subscribe. Ah, it took us back to the same page, so it needs to take us back instead to the dashboard. Okay, that's fine. We can fix that. So it's going to be URL pathname equals dashboard. Okay. Let's try this again. Do one of these, do one of... Okay, so that all went through, and then when I go back to my home here, here's our test payments, right, coming through. Good. And so this would be an active subscription then. Yep, shows the active subscription. Okay, so then somewhere in here I should have my webhooks. Dang, they're doing so much stuff now. Developers. Webhooks, there we go. So I want listen to live Stripe events and forward them to your local device using the Stripe CLI. That's probably a thing I'm going to want to do. But what we should also see, checkout session was completed, subscription is changed. This is probably what I want, right? So I've got a subscription and it says, what's in here? So it says subscription. It is not canceled. And let's let's see. So active, it's got the ID of the plan. Does it have details on the plan? Of course not. So we'll have to do like a nested look on that. But that's okay, I suppose. Per unit. Okay, so when I get this, I want to be able to update my clerk details. How are we doing on time? We can probably get this done. My brain is starting to feel a little fried, so I might get worse at this over the next 45 minutes. Let's find out. Let's look at webhooks. They send their webhooks, but that's not what I want. I want to, oh wait, do I need to, wait, I don't need to send a webhook, and Clerk doesn't need to know about the webhook. Instead, Clerk needs to know, I feel like I saw an article on this. Stripe metadata, or Clerk metadata, Stripe webhooks. So, Stripe webhook, Clerk user metadata. Is this old? It's not that old. Stripe secret key, we'll need a webhook secret, okay. So we validate that it's a real webhook, that's fine, and then we do what? So we're gonna get Stripe signature, yeah, we validate that. And then down here, that means it worked, cool. Adding Clerk user metadata, so inside checkout session completed, so we'll figure out which one that is. We then are going to use the Clerk client, which is not all right, so that's not instantiated. We'll have to figure out how they do that. Update user metadata. Oh, so we just update user metadata, easy peasy. And then we can get the data object metadata user ID to set the public metadata Stripe status and payment to show as paid. So in our case, it would be more like active, like subscription level, and status would be active or inactive. And then using that, session create, we do all that, and then we can pass in their user ID here so that we have access to their user ID. Yeah. Yeah. They did kill 4242. RIP. But yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing that we're. Okay, so this, I feel like, all right, so that this will be piece one, is I'm gonna have to get the current user out of the request, maybe. This is going to be in here. Where are the details? Read the docs. Add a middleware file. That's not what I'm going to use with a handler. No, that's not what I want. I want API routes. So we get locals inside of our request. So I'll be able to check if locals auth user ID. Okay. So over here, I can get user ID equals request locals auth user ID, and then if there's not a user ID, we will return new response. And it'll be status, what is that, 401, and status text, not authorized. Okay, but then if we do have that, I can set metadata. We'll say user ID equals user ID. Right? Okay. So then that should carry our user ID through. And then the other thing I can do here while we're in this spot is I can go into the dashboard and we'll create an input type. Hidden name is going to be price ID, and the value is going to be that. And then back in here, we'll get what is it? It's going to be const data equals form data request dot form data. No. That's not right. It's not params. Is it just request.form data? That doesn't seem right either. Okay, so let's do Astro form data. Request.form data. Is it different in API endpoints? So, does it automatically... If I submit a form, you know what? Why don't we just look and see what this is before we stress about it? We'll leave that in place for now. I'm going to console.log my request. Just await that and see what. See, it doesn't want to do that either, though. Something's up. Something's up. Oh, because it's not. Oh. Oh. I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing this so wrong. All right, so now when I go in here and I hit this button, it's form data. And so instead of that, form data, right? So that changes, and now we get a price ID. Okay, all right. I know what we're doing. So then we get our data equals, and then we can say the price ID equals data dot get price ID. And then I guess we can add another one of these and say that doesn't seem quite right, but this is probably fine. So then we'll get in here, and then this should use the right price ID now. And that should fix that. So let's try one more time. Let's reload this page. And now we're going to do one of those. Right? Okay, that does the thing. And then I'm going to come back out here. We're going to copy, paste this one and say update it to be the connoisseur. Head over to my product catalog. Go to the connoisseur. And then, was it this product ID? No, it's a price, not a product. So let's open more. We'll just click through into this. We'll get this default price. We come back over here, and now for the connoisseur, we have a different price ID, and that should, assuming I've done everything correctly. Now, when I click this one, we see the $20 a month. Hey, look at it go. All right, so that's great. That is good. That gets us closer. So then we've got inside here, checkout. We're sending in the user ID, and that metadata should become available to us in here. Right? So how do we want to organize this? So we have you go to the website, you log in. So now we've got your user ID. Then after you've logged in, you can go to your dashboard and you can click the button to become a supporter. When you become a supporter, you choose a price, you go to Stripe, you enter your payment details, it redirects you to the dashboard, and then that fires off a webhook. That webhook will include your Clerk user ID because we put it in the metadata. So we need another endpoint to receive that webhook. And then in that webhook, that's where we're going to do this part. Right. Okay. Can you say more about this part here, the Clerk client context? Is that like to get the user ID like I'm doing here? Or do I need anything beyond that? Yeah, Vinny, this is, let's see. So I guess that would be the right, I mean, you'd have to create an account either way. And so, and this will be where I maybe need to clarify what it means in the, it'll need to clarify what it means when you sign up, is like that'll need, you know, like, because why become a member if you're not going to support, right? I guess long term, what I would like for it to mean is that if you become a member, you would be able to do things like mark favorites, maybe you get a badge in Discord, access, like a members only access in Discord, which is, you know, like if anybody can join, it kind of is what it is. But and then for the connoisseurs and stuff, we want to link those up to be additional badges, additional chat stuff. Oh, this is sick. Great. No, that is perfect. So then let's do. So yeah, you'll be able to log in, and like once you're logged in as a user, you have the ability to, ideally, you know, we'll get to the point where you've got extra permissions, but it might be right off the bat. It's just you have an account, and then when you are a supporter, you get. This will actually, we're in a few weeks here on the 25th. I haven't put this on the site yet, but. Thanks, TCP stream. But in a few weeks, I'm going to have Dylan from Mux join, and we're going to look at how to do like members only streams, and the way that that'll work. Not streams, but video playback. And so the way that I want that to work is that right now I list stuff on YouTube as being members only, and I don't like that because I don't want that to exclude Discord supporters, or Discord supporters, Twitch supporters, GitHub supporters, et cetera, et cetera. And so by consolidating it to the Learn with Jason site, and I'll just encourage everybody to switch over to that one. It means a couple things. One, it means more of the support money will go into the show itself and like producing more stuff, because right now I think on YouTube it's like almost a 50-50 split. Twitch is pretty close to a 50-50 split. Discord, I actually don't know what it is. It's not too far off from 50. It might be 60-40 or something. And GitHub sponsors is better. GitHub sponsors actually might be like most of the money goes to the show. But not everybody has a GitHub. Not everybody really wants to like set up payment stuff on GitHub. So I don't think that's a good place for it. And I think by this point, like most of us who shop online will already have Stripe Link. And so I'm going to try to see if I can get it to work. I should even see if I can make that work. Because if we can make it work with Stripe Link, then it'll automatically pull up whatever your preferred card is. So you can just like, I want to subscribe. And then it's like, yeah, hit this button. And then you've used Stripe Link and now you're subscribed. Like no filling things out. Patreon was a consideration, and I backed away from it because I didn't want to have another thing I had to maintain and update, is the short answer. I feel weird. It's very, very hard for me to make extra chores for myself. And like I would feel really guilty if I said, yeah, join Patreon and you get members only access, and then I can't provide members only access because I don't have time to make extra members only stuff. So the early access is the only thing that I can really think of that is a true member benefit that I can commit to right now. And that I know how to control through something like what I'm building here. And I know how to control it through YouTube. I don't know how to control it through Patreon. And again, you know, like the whole goal of this is to fund more production. And like, if 50% of the money is going to Patreon or to YouTube or to Twitch, then like fine. Like I guess that's, you know, they're well within their rights to offer it that way. But I'd rather if you want to put $5 toward making better content, I'd rather that like $4.70 goes toward making better content. You know what I mean? So that's sort of the way that I'm thinking about it. What's up, Nick? Good to see you. So let's see if we can get the rest of this webhook going in 30 minutes. So I need we'll just call this webhook because then I'll remember what it's for. And inside of this webhook, we're going to get, got the Stripe stuff. So I'll pull the Stripe stuff out of here. And then we're going to have, does the webhook post? It does. Okay, so that goes here, and then do one of those. And then what do you return to the webhook? You just return a status, so and it'll be a null. And we'll just return a 200. Okay, so I guess we can also send the status text. All right, so right now, if the webhook was called, it would land here, and it would just succeed. And that's okay, that's kind of what we want. Why don't we set this up to run on, let's set it up to run locally. And do I have Stripe CLI? No. We'll just brew install it and hope for the best here. Auto updating homebrew. This might prevent us from getting anything else done. Oh no, it's going fast. You can do it. Oh man, that was nice and fast. Okay, so now we've got Stripe. And then Stripe listen forward to, oh, beautiful. Beautiful, look at that go. Okay. Oh, and then we can, ooh, look at that. I like that a lot. And it's gonna be HTTP, localhost 4321, and that is API Stripe webhook. You have not configured API keys yet. Okay, so running Stripe login. Okay, so we're in the CLI. Now, Stripe listen. We are listening. Key is that one. I'm gonna hide the screen for a second while I add that to my .env. Stripe webhook secret. Save that, close that, and bring the screen back. All right. Now, what we should be able to do, and let's check how this plays out, is I can trigger Stripe trigger help. Okay. I guess we need yet another one. Stripe trigger help. And we get subscription payment succeeded. Is that the one that I want? Let's actually go and look at the log here. And if I look at my events, subscription has changed. And what's the type? how does one, oh, customer.subscription.updated. So I can't really, can I re-trigger this one? Webhook attempts. Can I have it send a given event? Can I do the exact event? Because that would be dope. Stripe events resend and the event ID. Okay, so that's what I want. Let's go back here. And there's the event. Here's the event ID. And let's just run it. Okay. So that gets sent. And then theoretically speaking, the API webhook gets hit. All right. Let's try that again, and this time it should log all of that data. It does. Yes. This is sick. Okay. All right, we're getting close. We're getting close here. So now that we've got this event data here, we're able to test this particular thing. We'll be able to go through and do those. Then what happens next is we get back into this Clerk stuff. So webhook secret. Oh yeah, we need that webhook secret. Import.meta.env.stripe webhook secret, and we'll just mark that as definitely existing. And then we need to make sure that the signature exists. Okay, so const signature equals request headers get Stripe signature. Okay, then what happens? We want an error if there's no there, but we're gonna go with feels like right. If there's not a signature, then we're going to return new response, and that response is going to say something like status. Is it? We'll just go with. What did they say? That's just straight up throwing an error. Why don't we just throw a 400? And that'll be what happens if you don't have a signature. Okay, if you do have a signature, we are going to, we wanted to have the event, and then we're going to do a try catch. And that was for Stripe dot webhooks dot construct event, and we're passing in the payload, and the payload is the whole request. No. Await request as text. Interesting. Await request as text. And then we need to also send in the Stripe signature and the secret. Okay. So if we get a valid event, then things will happen. And if something goes wrong, You know what? I'm just going to catch this part, and then we'll refactor it to be not next. Because we're going to do browser standards. And we're going to JSON stringify. This, and then one of those. Why are you mad? Oh, because this needs to be closed. There we go. Okay, so if there's an error, then we do the error thing. I don't know why that doesn't have, whoops. Need some curly boys around it so that we understand what's going on. Then, out here, we can I feel like maybe with this, I'm just gonna copy paste this again, and we'll say if there's not an event, we'll just throw another 400, and then if we get into here, now we know that we can switch on our event. We just copy paste that bit there. So if it is, and in our case, it's not in fact a checkout session completed, it's going to be a customer subscription updated. And this is the part where we're going to want to do stuff. So let's move our console log down to, did I already get rid of my console log? Let's move our console log into here, in fact. And we're going to, well, actually, why don't we console log our session, see what comes out. So then back over here, we run it again. God, that CLI is so nice. Okay, so then out of this, we get our status is active. I like that. We get our product ID, but not the, maybe I just need to give it a nickname. Monthly, this is the amount. ID. Right, so we've got all this stuff, all this good stuff, and we know that it's a valid Stripe event because we did this bit, right? So we know that we're not being spoofed. And then I think if I just do object is a subscription, here's the idea of it. So I feel like what I want to do is get the name of the subscription, and maybe I can just like, let me see if I can just nickname it. Is that a thing you can just do? Metadata, attribute statement descriptors. Metadata, marketing feature list, add another price. What does that mean? No, that's not what I want. Oh, maybe I want one of those, though. What's the lookup key? Unit label metadata. Cross cells? Oh, that's cool. I don't exactly. Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Let's see if I can just add a label. Or no, wait, is this connoisseur or enthusiast? Connoisseur. Okay, so let's add metadata, and we're going to say level. Let's save it, and then I want to see, I probably have to buy it again for this to work. So let's go in here, we're going to buy again. We have this. Where'd that credit card number go? And then what we should see happen here is another items list data. So this is, yeah, this is all the stuff that I would expect. We just didn't handle these. So we get our subscription. And I wonder what comes out of here. Like maybe this data has more that we want. Let's see if we can. Well, and in fact, why don't we just get some of this information? Because we don't really need all of it. So the ID, so it's just top level and then items is what I want. Session.items. We're going to JSON stringify that for easy reading. And let's go back. And we're just going to get that ID. And this was the new one I created, so let's get that event ID. We'll come in here and we'll say rerun this one. And then that out here has all of our data on the items, and it gives us, there's metadata, nothing came through. Metadata, nothing came through. Huh. So I feel like maybe this is tiers. How do I get, I need to set that up. I need these to be tiers instead. That seems better. Is there a way to set up pricing tiers? Taxia. Why am I getting a, oh, nothing. One-off, advanced, I want a tier. What do we think? Create a pricing table. And then I could add a like an annual subscription. That would be a good thing. And Am I following a combination of docs and a blog post? I am. I'm kind of in the weeds here. So I'm currently looking at, like we're using, where's all this stuff? So like this section here, I'm kind of reworking the Ruby code to make sense for my what I'm doing, and then I've got this Clerk metadata in Stripe thing that's walking through how to add Clerk metadata inside, like based on a Stripe webhook, and then I'm like in the CLI, we're figuring out how to resend those events so that I can test them, and we're able to listen for the events, which this is so that I can do it locally without having to deploy every time I make a change. And then we're also just kind of, I'm just sort of screwing around in here trying to understand how all this stuff works. But this isn't creating a tier though, this is just creating a pricing table. So I'm gonna create it anyways, and we're gonna see. Yeah, you know, it just doesn't feel pricing table, payment page, confirmation page. And then the thing that I'm curious about is out here, what I also want is for somebody to be able to change their plan. So, okay, we don't have enough time to do all of that today. So let's instead just try to get this one piece going here. You know what, for now, why don't we just query somewhere in the Stripe CLI, there's going to be an option to get a product. And I want to Stripe resources. Let's get a API object. And is that gonna, like, does that work if I just hit it like this? Like, can I, that's the price, here's the product, and I come out here and I do Stripe get, drop that in, and it just does the thing. Oh, that's dope. Okay, that's cool. It's actually really cool. And then I do, so that level did show up there, so there's probably something, there's probably a way for me to make that easier, but we'll, I'll mess with that at another time. So what I want is this name. So I want the product name. So Stripe, where was my Node SDK? It's in here somewhere. Is that the Node.js? Yes. We want to get a price. Retrieve a price. No, retrieve a product. And this is going to be stripe.products.retrieve. Okay, so we can do that. And the way that we're going to do that is we go and look back here, and that's going to be in data. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, it was in here. This is better. So it is top level dot plan dot product. Event dot plan session dot plan dot stop it product. That's just not true. Session data object. Oh. Okay, so we send that again. Let's get down here, let's see what we got. So it sends ID. Inside the ID, we get, do I get the product? Invoice settings, items. And inside the items, we do not get, yeah, we don't get the product. Oh no, we do. We get the plan and the product. Okay, perfect. So, oh wait, that means that it's there. So what are you yelling at me about? Session, event, plan, product? This literally exists. Like, why are you yelling at me? It's right there, you jerk. So just hush, I guess. Whatever, it's fine. And then we're gonna do stripe, products, retrieve, product ID. And then that's gonna be, is this async? Yes, wait. And then that's going to give us a product.name. And it does not. Oh, it did, and I just didn't. So we got our product.name. Let's run that one more time. Comes over here. There's the name. Good. And then we could even do like metadata.level if we wanted, and that would be cool. Because then we get something a little simpler to deal with. Okay, I kind of like that. And then so then what we need to do is we need to get that Clerk client. And to get that Clerk client, we do what? Thanks, Wesley. Yeah, I mean, Salma's so great. There's so many good thoughts in that video. If you haven't seen it yet, just dropped today on the YouTube channel. It's me and Salma conversation web lunch series. I really liked it. I hope you really like it. Click the 3 dots next to the products. There should be a way to add more options. Okay, let's look real quick. Click the 3 dots. Edit product. Duplicate price. So, but this isn't tiers. This is like a, is it? I don't know, man. Yeah, there's probably a way that I can do this that's better. Oh no. Okay, well that's a bummer. Let me drop a note to address that later. It looks like show links bot is down. Okay. All right. Oh no, okay, we're out of time. Can I do this in another couple of minutes? Yeah, we can cancel that part now. I just want to get to the Clerk bits, and here's the part that I'm confused on because there's no reference in here to what the heck the Clerk client is. Is there a code sample down here? Complete code base. Where did Clerk thingy come from? App, API, Stripe, webhook, route. Clerk client comes out of Clerk Next.js. No. Okay. So let's look at Clerk Node SDK. And it's going to be this one. Do I already have this one? Maybe. Why did I type npm install twice? Okay, so then up here, it's going to be import Clerk client from Clerk client SDK. And then I do what? How do I actually... Let's make sure I've got these done. Clerk publishable key and... So that's probably not going to work default way because they hide... Can't do that part. Available methods. So what does that mean? Like, do I have to... Yo, how do I actually use this? Clerk client, and then I have to actually instantiate it because I need to be able to pass in my keys. So create clerk client is what's going to come out instead. Okay. So let's do that. And the secret key is going to be leaked apparently. Import meta env clerk secret key. And then it just works. Let's try. So all I want to do now is I want to clerk client. What does this return? This expression is not callable. Why wouldn't it be callable? Because I instantiated the thing up here. So clerk client. What does it do in here? Clerk client dot users. Users dot update user metadata. And we're going to say we've got the event dot data dot object dot metadata dot user ID. And I already pulled that user ID out, in fact, so we can just, right, didn't I? No, I didn't. So we'll go back over here. So we got that user ID, and then we need to update the details. So we're going to say, let's get these bits here, and we want plan, and that's going to be product metadata level. And I don't really want session status so much as I want the plan status, which is active. So that's, or no, that's the product being active. So we need status is active, and that's top level. So this is my status. Status dot active, right? Is that the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Let's go session dot status. Is that the right thing? So our AC is out. I don't know if you can tell how sweaty I am, but let's see. When you say the above should just work, like clerk, client, and then I just pass in context like this? Like what? I guess I'm not understanding what you're actually saying I should do. Because like this, I don't know what context is or any of that. So we get the metadata level. We're gonna drop this out, and let's just let this rip and see what happens. So we resend this, and it should. Oh, I want the one on the product itself. So I'm almost done. What do you need? Okay, let me, like, give me 10 minutes and then I'm ready. Data object. Yeah, so I actually think it's going to be product status. But let's go see what happened in Clerk here, because I just fired this. So theoretically speaking, I have in my dashboard, on the Learn with JSON site, in my users, we have a user. That user should have custom metadata, and that custom metadata says nothing. Crap. Oh, interesting. Okay. I see. So there's like a whole thing I can do instead of this part. I can import Clerk client from Astro Clerk auth server. Okay. And then I need to get the context out of is this it? No, it's this one. Is that right? Hold on. API route, props. It's already the context. So you're saying get the entire context here, and then this becomes context.request.headers. And then instead of doing this part, I do clerk client context. But then what's happening, I guess, is the part that I'm not understanding. Like when I run this, I'm passing in the clerk context. Create clerk client is not defined because I need to. Whoa, Jesus Christ. Haven't been on my keyboard in a while and I'm forgetting how all the buttons work. So let's try this one more time. We're gonna do this thing. We're gonna come back here. It does the post. And now when I reload this user, there is still no metadata. Am I getting the user ID properly? Let's check that. If this doesn't work, I'm probably gonna need to shut down here because it is just way too hot to function. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is kind of, I think this is where I'm falling down is I don't understand what this, like, how does this know what I'm trying to save is where it's kind of fallen. Oh, my guy. Okay. I'm with you now. I'm with you here. I understand what's happening. Okay. All right. That's better. Let's make sure I'm actually getting a client ID here. So then we do one of those. We do one of these. We don't get our console logged stuff. and that seems bad. Oh, it's given us a 400. What's the 400? If there's not an event, or if there's an error, Try this one more time. Make sure you have an await or a... Okay, valid resource ID is required at... Is it you that's missing stuff? Let's see. Unhandled rejection, so it's spitting undefined, undefined. So something is missing. I don't know what that thing is. And let's try just console.log session again. And we get what out of it? So there's our big piece here, right? And then in the big piece, we should have metadata is not including our customer ID, so that's already a problem. Okay, so I think I know where like how to move forward from here. All right, so we'll wait on that. Let's try it one more time. This I don't think is going to work, and it doesn't. And the reason is because we're not getting a valid resource ID because our metadata is not being sent through for reasons I don't understand, which means we're gonna have to dig into that. But I'm out of time. I'm way over already, so I need to wrap up. But yeah, I feel like I've got a path forward here, and I mostly know what I'm trying to do. So I should be able to get this put together. I think the next big thing for me is just figuring out what how to get the. So once this works and we've kind of got the loop going, then we need to be able to create a dashboard so that somebody can go into their dashboard and update or cancel their plan. And I got to figure out exactly how that works. And then you'll be on the site with an active plan, you know, being able to do whatever you want as a active user. And then we can set up tiers based on, like, if you have a plan of a certain level, you can see extra stuff. And that's what I want to have running before the stream on the 25th, because that's where we want to add the extra stuff, is like being able to see, you know, like if you are a paid member, you get to watch videos a week early is the feature that I want to build first. And that's what Dylan's going to help me build. He's on the Mux team. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will talk more about it then. This Thursday, we are going to have a great show. You should go and check it out. It's going to be, that's the wrong link. We want .dev, that one. And on the schedule, the only one I got right now is Dev Agarwal is going to come and teach us how to build our own meta framework. So this is sort of like if you wanted to build your own version of SvelteKit or Solid Start or Astro or any of these, most of them are built on some combination of Vite plus other stuff. And so Vinxi is a tool that's going to let us build our own JavaScript meta framework. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see how it works because I only have like the broad strokes, and you should come watch it. So, all right, friends, we will see you next time.